Hello everyone, Saksham this side, and today I'm gonna introduce all of you with my latest project based on Python, and it is going to be a TCP/IP based, HTTP web server, and it is going to be, some sort of replica for my, like my Tomcat server. So let's start quickly with my code, and I will quickly demonstrate with some examples which I have already developed inside my folders. And you will, after that, you will get some insight how these things are working behind the scenes and all. So let's begin with the folder structure first. So basically, folder named as py. I have created a folder named as py server. Inside that folder I have, there must be a folder named as root, which is basically uh, the static contents which my server will use at the runtime. And there are some custom css fonts, images that basically this things is all about related to my server structure, nothing related to my users web applications. So inside my root folder there is a file named as server.json, in which I can change my port number, and I can change my host. Basically, I am right now working on my local system, and so that's why I am using localhost over here. If I will deploy this project to some hostings, by taking some hosting service on some cloud. So basically I have to change this host to some sort of IP address and all. So basically first let's change the port number, right? Basically my server is already running. Let me first close this application and let me run it again for you guys. So basically a script named as py server.py, which is basically my, it is showing the server's port, http server port running on port number 3000. Scanning folder structure, I will let you know what is this scanning folder structures and all the things. First, have a look at the, okay, default setup for my web server. Okay, so uh, I'm putting a slash over here. It is again showing me this page. Basically, this is nothing but a default index.html file. This page, which my server will use as a resource at the runtime when nothing will be provided in the request, in the default request, or the request will be will contain only front slash, right? So it will serve this index.html file, right? And there are some more files like error.html, error.jpg. So what this thing all about, like if I put some bad request, or the URL which does not exist, it will show me some 404 error. And along with that it will show me that you have used this URL, which is basically does not exist somewhere in the inside the my sorry, inside my server's configuration. So each time when you will try to reach out some mm, a URL which basically does not exist, it will show you this 404 page, and it will show you the URL which you have written in the address bar as well. So this was some basic functionality, okay, for root folder. And now let's begin with creating an application. So uh, the the rule which I have already set for this server is like, you have to create there must be application folder inside your server folder, which is which is basically compulsion for any developer to develop any kind of project. A developer will put all of his content, all of his web application content inside that applications folder. It is compulsory, otherwise your applications won't run successfully. What does this thing mean? So let me introduce you with my three example which I have already developed, and I will quickly show you one more example which I will basically going to make in this video. Okay, so I have already created three examples like app1, foodie, and test. Basically this is nothing but a web applications. Let me tell you what is the content present inside that folders. First, let's have a look at app1. App1 contains an index.html file. A secured folder contains config.json. So this is second most compulsion which I have set. Like if you want, if any developer want to configure any of the things like mapping a url with its some content like html content, css content, or python script. If we want to serve data from the python script, a user have to first, sorry, a developer has to first map this thing inside that config.json file, and this config.json file will reside inside a secured folder, right? So basically this is second rule which one has to keep in mind while creating any web applications by using this framework. Okay, so what is the content present inside that config.json? So it contains a home page which is a property for this json file. And it is showing me like you can set up your default html page when a person will, a user will try to reach out your application, then this page will be defaultly served by the server, right? You can change it to whatever. And if you remove this thing, okay, if you remove this thing from here, it will by default serve index.html page. And you can either use this thing, so you can set up some other names as well, like example.html. If this things is this thing genuinely exist. For now, only one file exists, and which is index.html. I am serving this thing as my default html fetch. So let's run this example. So basically after that localhost 3000, I have to provide my application name. And after that, if I enter with I with the slash, or with without any slash, it will redirect me to the index.html. Basically this is nothing but a default index.html with which I have shown you. Let me show you the what is the content inside this. So basically, as you can see, welcome to my app1 and my simple application for testing purpose. It is same. Okay, if I hit it, I will try to run it with the default slash. It will again show me the same content. And if I write something wrong which it does not exist, it will show me the 404, right? Let's talk about the second thing. Second thing is like for example, okay, okay, so let's run. So inside my foodie application, I have created a package named as foodie com foodie. And inside that I have created a rabbit.py file. Now this is the most important second third thing which I'm gonna tell you what is this thing all about. So a developer can create a class which will basically work as a microservice or as a servlet. This class will inherit my http service class, which is basically I have developed in parallel with my applications folder. it is rule that you have to inherit that class, otherwise your code won't run successfully. And you have to provide a default constructor as well. uh, a default constructor is compulsion, and you can, as I have only developed functionalities for get method, so you can in override, sorry, uh, yeah, so you can override this do get method, and it will it will contain uh, two arguments, right? Servlet, first one is servlet request and other one will be servlet response. You can you can set what would be your content type which you are going to you are going to send to the client side, you know right? And after after mentioning about the content type, you can you know get a default writer object from the servlet response, right? And by calling the write method from the writer, you can quickly send some default http content to the browser, right? Now how I will map this thing with my path. So this was the second thing. Basically, I will key put an entry in my config.json file, and I will tell my server that, hey server, if the path will be path will contain rabbit, then serve the content from this resource. This resource is basically nothing but a Python file, com.foodie.rabbit.py. And I'm third property is servlet. I'm telling my web server that it would be a Python file, so it would be a servlet or service. It is compulsory if you are if you are using a Python file for the resource. For a script, if you want to serve some content from your script, then this parameter is compulsory, right? So let me demonstrate this example as well. So it is present inside my foodie folder, right? First let me run my foodie. All right, it is showing me the default index.html page, which is basically nothing but this page price, basically a table structure and all. Now let me uh, type rabbit and have a look what happened next. Okay, so it is showing rabbit and my name section. Okay, so here you can see I have used this two h1 and h2 tag, which is showing me that content as well, right? So this was the second example. Now let me tell you the third example for serving html content with some routing paths. Okay, so third example is test, and I have created some of the files like day1 session1.html, day1 session2.html, 3 4, kind of that. So I my default page, my home page, I have set this thing as day1 session1. Now I have mapped uh, my local resources, local static html files with my you know path. Now when I will add this path in my my url, uh, it is going to be serve these html files for that particular purpose, right? So let me show you this thing. Okay, so my app name is test. Let me hit a. Okay, it is showing me day one default one page. Now let me enter b. Okay, it is day one default session 2 page. Let me enter C. It is showing me the third page as well, right? And this is D, right? So by using this kind of mappings and all, you can map your static contents as well as your Python files, or you can map even images and all the things with your paths as well. So you can serve this content from the server side. Server side rendering will be there, no client side rendering, right? So this was some examples for this project, and this is my my files. For these files are server files, and these files will help my server to to get these things, to serve this static contents, to get servlet response, to get writers, and all the things all about. So this this was my TCP IP based server, and that was all from my side. Thank you so much, guys. Okay, bye bye.